Look at almost any architectural master plan, and you'll see a vision of total control. We design buildings as beautiful, static monuments, engineered for a perfectly stable world, where supply chains always deliver and the grid never blinks. But that baseline of stability is gone. We are now operating in a condition of permanent systemic instability. These crises are overlapping and continuous. The complex networks underpinning our cities are vibrating under immense, constant strain. This diagnostic chart maps out the real-time symptoms of that strain on active sites. Projects stall even when materials sit in the yard. Approvals logjam. Contractors are busy, but actual output swings wildly. Cash flow tightens despite high sales. It is tempting to treat these as isolated management errors, but they are system signals. They prove that the structural flow of authority and resources is already breaking down, even if the physical assets look perfectly fine. To diagnose this, we have to stop looking at real estate as individual plots of land. Every modern asset is a node within a complex, interdependent network of energy, labor, and capital. This diagram illustrates what happens inside that network. Stage 1 shows the baseline of a typical portfolio. Every portfolio contains one critical node, a supply route, an approval authority, or a power junction. This is the pivot domino. When the pivot domino buckles, as we see in Stage 2, it triggers a nonlinear shockwave. The instability propagates outward, paralyzing perfectly healthy projects downstream. Stage 3 details the Aquarian systematic resilience, or ASR, intervention. Instead of spreading resources thin across every site, you locate that single point of failure and concentrate 100% of your defensive capital and redundancies directly around it. The failure point exists whether you map it or not. The choice is whether you harden it today or manage the symptoms until the collapse dictates your financial outcome. This matrix compares old fortress thinking, rigid hierarchies and reactive scrambling, with the new mandate, flow sovereignty. Power now comes from maintaining the continuous movement of authority and materials through dynamic networks that activate automatically during a crisis. This map introduces strategic node prioritization. The top line represents Tier 0 assets, pivot dominoes requiring absolute protection. The descending line illustrates graceful degradation, deliberately sacrificing peripheral services to keep core functions alive during severe crises. If you try to defend every asset equally, you run out of capital and guarantee total failure. Survival requires ruthless prioritization. In a typical corporate hierarchy, when external communication goes dark, project managers freeze. Without top-down instructions, work grinds to a jarring halt. This diagram contrasts that brittle structure at Diagram A with Pillar 2, Mesh Governance, in Diagram B. Instead of waiting for central command, local site managers operate as micro-sovereigns, pre-authorized to make decisions across a peer-to-peer network. Decentralizing power only works if the people holding it are aligned. This radar chart visualizes Pillar 3, Human Integrity Density. ASR treats ethical resilience, technical mastery, and mission fidelity as measurable, hard infrastructure. Developers utilize a sovereign override clause, acting like an emergency lever. Highly vetted site leads can suspend standard approvals to stabilize an immediate threat, governed strictly by a 72-hour window and mandatory post-crisis review. By treating human integrity as a technical specification, developers ensure operational velocity never drops, even when a site is completely cut off from the home office. Beyond organizational decision-making, the physical assets themselves must be engineered to survive total isolation. Pillar 4 mandates time-based autonomy. Every critical node must function in total isolation for exactly 72 hours. This requires island mode microgrids, zero blackout storage, and pre-staged fuel cubes to guarantee continuous operation despite municipal grid or logistics failures. Concrete thickness and steel tension matter, but true structural resilience is ultimately measured by the guarantee of continuous time. Implementing these pillars requires upfront capital, but framing resilience as a discretionary cost is a dangerous miscalculation. This capital protection equation illustrates the reality. By hardening pivot dominoes and embedding 72-hour autonomy, developers achieve loss compression. You mathematically shrink your financial exposure to cascading downtime, securing a measurable systemic resilience value for the asset. That protection yields the resilience dividend, detailed across 3 structural columns. Digital twins reduce cost overruns by 30%. Guaranteed continuity drives margins. While competitors freeze during grid failures, your firm keeps moving, commanding a massive market premium. The baseline of the global economy has shifted. Modern developers and town planners can no longer afford to just pour foundations and direct walls. By embedding Aquarian's systematic resilience, you stop reacting to the latest crisis. You become a guarantor of certainty, ensuring that your command, your capital, and your operational flow remain intact, even when the world around you is severed.